Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something that I think a lot of people find pretty confusing.
Yeah,
The world of financial advisors.
it's a big one for sure.
It is, and specifically, when you see all those letters after someone's name,
Oh yeah, all those designations.
exactly, how do you even know, who can you trust?
Mm.
Who's actually qualified? We've got a ton of research and articles,
The whole stack.
and we're going to try to make sense of it all. So,
Absolutely.
one of the things I thought was really interesting was from the Financial Planning Standards Council.
Okay, yeah.
They found that 42% of Canadians say that their biggest stressor is their finances.
Wow, that's a big number.
It is a huge number.
So yeah, finding the right person to help you with that is
Huge.
super important.
Yeah, and I think that's why this whole topic of who is actually qualified to give you financial advice is even more important.
And you know what makes it even trickier is that in most of Canada, financial planning isn't actually a regulated field. So that means that anyone can technically call themselves a financial advisor.
So it's kind of like the Wild West out there.
Pretty much so. Knowing how to find someone who really knows their stuff is crucial.
It's so important, and that's why I think one of the first things that's so confusing is all of those designations.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking at this report from IROC, and they say there's 67 different designations and initialisms.
67.
67.
That's alphabet soup for sure.
It is no wonder people are confused.
Yeah, it can be totally overwhelming. But don't worry, we can break this down.
Okay, good.
If you're looking for the top tier advice, there are a few key designations to look out for.
Okay, so what are the ones that we should really be paying attention to?
Well, the gold standard, and you've probably heard this before, is the Certified Financial Planner, or CFP.
CFP. Okay, yeah, I've heard that one. But it's what makes it so special? Is it just a longer course or something?
It's way more than that. Think of it like this. To become a doctor, you don't just read a few medical books, right? There's tons of training exams and oath to uphold ethical standards. And the CFP designation, it's granted by the FPSC, has a similar level of rigor.
Oh, wow.
So they have to meet these strict education requirements and pass a really tough exam, but they also have to adhere to a strict code of ethics.
Oh, wow.
And they have to do ongoing continuing education.
So it's not just a one and done kind of thing.
Not at all. It's a lifelong commitment to learning and professional development.
So when you see those three letters, CFP, after someone's name, they've really been put through their paces.
Exactly. And they're equipped to give advice across a whole range of financial areas, from investments and retirement planning to insurance, taxes, even estate planning.
Wow, so they really cover it all.
They do. They're like the financial superheroes.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
Well, what if, I'm looking for advice in a really specific area? Are there designations that show more specialized expertise?
Absolutely. So let's say you're focused on building a portfolio for long-term growth.
Yeah.
You might look for someone with the Chartered Investment Manager, or CIM designation.
Okay, CIM, got it.
Or if you're dealing with complex estate planning, a Trust and Estate Practitioner, or TAP, would have specialized knowledge.
Okay, so TA for estate planning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right fit for your needs.
So it's not just about finding any advisor. It's about finding one that has the right experience for you.
Yes, and that's where doing a bit of research up front can really pay off.
Okay, yeah, so designations are important, but I'm thinking, are they the only thing we should be thinking about?
That's a great point, because at the end of the day, you also need to feel comfortable with this person. You're trusting them with some pretty important stuff.
Right, it's a big deal.
Absolutely, and even the most qualified advisor might not be the right fit if you don't feel good about working with them.
Okay, so there's more to it than just the letters.
Exactly. We're going to dive into those softer skills and how to actually build a good relationship with your advisor coming up.
Okay, so listeners, stay tuned for part 2. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So in part 1, we were talking about, how to find a qualified financial advisor.
Right.
Making sure that they have the right designations.
Absolutely.
All that stuff. But obviously, a piece of paper doesn't tell the whole story.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
You can have all the fancy credentials in the world, but if you don't actually connect with your advisor on a personal level,
Right.
the relationship just won't work.
You need to like them, right?
Exactly.
So how do you even find a good advisor? Where do you even begin?
Well, it's kind of like if you're looking for a doctor,
Okay.
you wouldn't just pick a name randomly from the phone book, right?
No, definitely not.
You'd probably ask your friends or your family for recommendations.
Right. Word of mouth is so powerful.
Exactly. And it's the same with financial advisors. Start by asking your network, people you really trust, if they have an advisor that they love working with.
Okay, so referrals are a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But would you still want to do your own research, like what works for my best friend might not be right for me?
Absolutely. Referrals are just the first step. Think of it as creating a short list of candidates.
Okay, so you've got your short list from your friends.
Right, and then you need to do a little digging to see who's the best fit for your specific needs.
So then you need to vet these potential advisors.
Exactly. It's all about asking the right questions.
Okay, so interview mode activated.
Yes.
What are some questions we should be asking?
Well, first, get a sense of their experience and qualifications.
Okay.
How long have they been in the industry? What specific areas do they specialize in?
So like if I want to build that long-term growth portfolio.
Exactly. Have they actually helped other clients achieve those kinds of goals?
Right, it's one thing to have a designation. It's another to actually have that real-world experience.
For sure. And don't be afraid to ask about their track record. Have their clients actually seen success using their strategies?
Yeah, like show me the receipts kind of thing.
Exactly. You want proof.
Okay, so we checked experience. What about their approach to financial planning? Like, how do we know if they're a good fit for us, like personality-wise?
Ask about their process.
Yep.
How do they work with clients? How do they tailor their advice to each individual? If they're throwing around a lot of jargon
Right.
or pushing a one-size-fits-all solution, that's probably a red flag.
Yeah, because financial planning is personal.
Exactly. It needs to be tailored to your specific goals and your circumstances.
Right.
And this is also a good time to talk about how they get paid.
Ooh, fees.
Yes, fees, they can vary a lot, and you need to be comfortable with their compensation structure.
Yeah, fees, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
It can be.
Yeah.
So there are two main models, generally speaking, fee-based and commission-based.
Okay.
Some advisors also offer a hybrid approach, but let's break those down.
Okay, let's do it.
So with a fee-based advisor, you're paying them directly for their time and expertise,
Okay.
usually through an hourly rate or a flat fee.
So it's kind of like hiring a lawyer or a consultant.
Exactly. You're paying for their professional advice.
Okay.
Now, with a commission-based advisor, they earn money by selling you financial products,
Okay.
like mutual funds or insurance policies.
Got it.
So they get a commission from those companies for each sale they make.
Okay, so is there like a potential conflict of interest there? Like, would they be incentivized to sell you products that give them the biggest commission, even if it's not the best fit for you?
That is a very valid concern.
Okay, good.
I'm
That's
not
crazy.
Not at all. It's something you definitely need to be aware of. Now, not all commission-based advisors are unethical, but that potential for bias does exist.
Right. Okay, so if we want the most unbiased advice, we might want to go with fee-based.
It can be, but it's important to note that fee-based advisors can also be more expensive up front, so you really need to weigh the pros and cons
Okay.
and decide what's right for your budget and your comfort level.
Okay, so we've talked about experience, we talked about approach fees.
Yep.
What else should we be thinking about during these interviews?
Communication style.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because remember, this is a long-term relationship.
Right.
You need to feel comfortable talking to this person about your finances, which can be a very sensitive topic for a lot of people.
Yeah, you want someone who listens to you and explains things clearly and doesn't make you feel stupid for asking questions.
Exactly. Trust your gut. If you don't feel good about the interaction, that's a red flag. Move on to the next candidate.
But finding the right financial advisor is kind of like dating.
I like that analogy.
You're looking for a good match in terms of expertise, personality, and communication style.
Exactly. And just like dating, don't settle for the first person that comes along.
Yeah, take your time.
Do your research, ask those tough questions.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've talked about how to vet those potential advisors, the importance of referrals, all the questions to ask during those interviews. But what happens once you've actually chosen an advisor? Like, what does that relationship look like?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll talk about next time.
Okay, so stay tuned for part 3. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the deep dive. So I spent the last 2 parts talking about, how to find a qualified financial advisor.
Right, all those designations.
Yeah, someone who, has the experience, the right approach, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But now you've chosen your financial co-pilot.
You found the one.
Right, like what's next?
Yeah.
How do you actually make this relationship work?
That's where the real journey begins.
Okay.
And just like any successful relationship, it all boils down to open communication, shared goals, and that genuine sense of partnership.
Okay, so let's talk about those first few meetings.
Yeah.
What can we do to set ourselves up for success right out of the gate?
Honesty is key. You need to be completely transparent with your advisor about your financial situation, your goals, your concerns, even your fears.
Okay, so no holding back.
No holding back. Think of it like going to the doctor.
Okay.
You can't hide symptoms if you want the right diagnosis and the right treatment plan.
Right, you're only hurting yourself if you don't tell them everything.
Exactly, and it's not just about sharing information, it's also about asking questions.
Yep.
Even if they seem basic or silly, a good advisor will welcome your curiosity and take the time to explain things clearly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are intimidated by financial jargon.
Oh, for sure.
They might feel embarrassed to ask what they think is a stupid question.
I totally get that. But remember, your advisor is there to guide you, not to judge you.
Right.
The more you understand, the more empowered you'll feel to make informed decisions.
So it's a two-way street. We're sharing information, we're asking questions,
Yes,
and they're providing expertise and guidance.
exactly. But it doesn't stop there. It's also important to be proactive about educating yourself.
Oh, yeah, how to do that?
Read articles, attend webinars, listen to podcasts like this one.
Plug.
The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to understand your advisor's recommendations and really participate in the decision-making process.
So it's not enough to just show up and be like, fix my finances.
No.
You need to be actively involved.
Exactly. Think of it as a collaboration. You're both working towards this common goal, which is your financial well-being.
Okay.
And like any good team, communication is key.
Okay, so speaking of communication, how often should we be checking in with our advisor? Like, is there a magic number?
It depends on your needs and your preferences, but I generally recommend meeting at least once a year
Okay.
to review your progress, discuss any changes in your circumstances, and make sure that your plan is still on track.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Definitely not. Financial planning is an ongoing process. Life throws us curveballs all the time.
Right.
Job changes, new family members, unexpected expenses.
Yeah.
Your financial plan needs to be flexible enough to adapt.
Right. Okay, so regular check-ins are important. But what about those times when, like, something major happens?
Yes.
Like, a sudden job loss or, like, a big inheritance. Should we be reaching out more often in those situations?
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to reach out whenever you have a question or a concern, big or small. That's what they're there for.
Okay, good to know.
And remember, this is a partnership you should feel comfortable sharing both your challenges and your successes with your advisor.
Yeah, it's like having a financial cheerleader in your corner.
Exactly. And celebrating those successes is just as important as addressing the challenges. It helps you stay motivated, and it reinforces those positive financial habits.
Okay, so we've talked about communication, education, check-ins, celebrations. Any final words of wisdom for building a strong advisor-client relationship?
Trust your instincts.
Yeah.
If something doesn't feel right, if you're not comfortable with your advisor's recommendations, or if you just don't feel like they're listening to you, don't be afraid to speak up or even seek a second opinion.
Yeah, it's your financial future. You need to feel confident in the decisions that you're making.
Exactly. And remember, you always have options.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive into the world of financial advisors.
Oh,
I think we've debunked some myths
hopefully.
and given some really practical advice for finding the right advisor and building that strong, successful relationship.
I hope so. Remember, taking control of your finances doesn't have to be daunting with the right guidance and support. You can achieve your goals and build a brighter future.
And if you're in the Burlington area and looking for a team of trusted financial advisors who put your needs first, we highly recommend checking out Milestones Financial Group.
Absolutely.
You can visit their website at milestonesfinancialgroup.ca to learn more.
They'd be happy to answer your questions and help you get started.
Until next time, happy planning.
Yeah.